I'm losing it.
Hello, we're live on the Outer Realm. Good evening, everyone. And I am Michelle Desrochers. Look how cute I look.
I'm waiting for my intro,
You
actually.
you didn't have time.
What?
You didn't have time.
Just
Yeah, I didn't realize you
watch
had.
me.
Hey, I didn't know you. Hey.
Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Ha, that was so happening. Good evening. Good evening,
So funny,
everybody.
Joe. So funny.
Welcome to the Outer Realm Wednesday night edition. We are broadcasting live here via the International Public Radio, right here on United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been with us from day one. So thank you, Folgers. It would not be the same without you. And of course, our other amazing sponsor, Dr. Snick, aka the Sonic Surgeon, our dear friend Justin Snicker, who is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. You should be looking him up right now because 'tis the season. So his music is available on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and most streaming platforms. And we thank him for his generous contribution of his music and his voice to our show. So tonight we welcome Stone Hobbit. Love the handle, for the very first time to the show. And she's going to be discussing so much. It's just going to be totally full segment. Topics will range anywhere from her tumultuous childhood to her journey into the paranormal, UFO experiences, night terrors. My gosh, the list goes on. But in order to participate in the show, please check out any of our 8 platforms. There are several, and you will find them as they pop up all over Facebook and all over YouTube. Anyway, only way you can get a response is by tagging Amelia in UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube. Otherwise, you'll have to sit tight and wait for us to be able to get to you. So with that being said, without much ado, we begin. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Well, I'm good.
It was a beautiful day today. Full of beans. Oh, my.
Full of beans. Yeah, it's one of those days, you know. Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Billy,
Billy.
Dolly, Zach. And we had something at the very beginning. Wayne,
Yes. And I want to give a shout out.
Havoc. Yeah.
There we go. I'm just scrolling. I wanted to give a shout out to Janie Mashburn. I don't think she's listening tonight, but happy birthday, Janie. We love you here.
Birthday. Yeah. Fantastic. That's nice. What do you mean you're not with us on your birthday? That's crazy. You're supposed to be with us on your birthday.
I don't know. She said she's having a great day. So I said, good. Yeah, she goes way back to the days of Bobby. But
hi, Thomas. Hi,
nice.
Bradley.
Hi, Bradley. Hi, Thomas. Yeah, it looks matching, but it really isn't. Michelle's is like neon red. It's specially done for her. And mine is actually more upburn. It's just the like, happy birthday, Janie. There she is.
You would let us down.
Yeah,
I know.
Happy birthday to you.
I know. Yeah. Tune.
Yeah, you give me a microphone, you know I'm going to use it. Just saying.
Okay,
so are we running on time? Nope, not yet.
No, it's okay. I have just went in and sent her the link, so we are good to go.
Okay, I'll just give a quick bio because I don't want to give it all away. Some of you have seen her in chat, and you'll be familiar with her.
Ginny.
Our guest tonight is with us live all the way from New Zealand, a lifelong experiencer and survivor. She works in deprogramming. She is a navigator of energy and an explorer of the multiple dimensions. Just a little note, the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of our positions at the Outer Realm are hosts, producers, sponsors, nor the network. I have to get that in now, now and then.
Yes.
Yes. So tonight
Yeah.
we'll be welcoming Stone Hobbit once she connects
she
with us from New
chimes in.
Zealand.
Yes,
What time
yes.
is it there in New Zealand?
I think it's like 16, 17 hours ahead. It's a bit of a
It's in the morning.
bit of a
for her
difference. Oh
still.
yeah, it's morning for her for sure. She'll
It
be
is. Oh,
sitting
actually,
there
it's
with her
afternoon.
coffee. Yeah, yeah.
It's afternoon.
So
Yeah, that's
I
good.
know. Yeah,
Good.
I know. It will be early afternoon for her. I'm just trying to see if she's checked out the link already.
Oh, hi, Nancy.
Hasn't seen it
Hi,
yet.
Jeannie.
Okay, I will copy the link
Do you know
address. I will send it
Michelle?
to email
Sorry.
as well. Sorry.
Do you know David Oman? Billy Rose is asking.
Do I?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm just hold on. Let me get back over here to the chat.
I do.
Light
back on her.
I do not, to my knowledge. But then again, with that being said, I know a lot of people, and here we go. Hold on, just trying to get to the guests. Different options. There we are. Okay, I think I'm going to hear that. So Sharon Tate.
Shannon Tate. Shannon Tate or Sharon, Billy?
Shannon.
I know her sister.
2 a.m. here. I don't drink coffee. Oh.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. A nice strong tea.
Right. I love how everybody's just chiming in. It's nice to see.
I love the chat room.
Another full house. I know.
Yes.
It's been interesting. For those who don't know, Stone has been, in chat through some of the other shows, and realistically, had a story to tell and started, giving us little tidbits. You never know if you can end up here in the Outer Realm or not. And call me tomorrow. I got an event you might be interested in. Absolutely. Just because it's you. I don't really do a whole lot of events. Mind you, it is out east. So
sorry, I'm playing my lady. Yeah, but, as long as you're driving, you'll be fine. If you fly, it's a whole other ball game.
It's possible. It is possible. Yeah. But yeah, so she basically had a story to tell and started getting in there and giving us little tidbits of it, and started sending over some photos, and we started having a really good conversation, and man, there it is. So we had a sudden opening, which does not happen this time of year. I was actually really amazed, but it worked out really well.
We had a mix up because we had the last minute emergency with the guest last week because we were supposed to Q&A this week. So that's what happened. So yeah, it's rare, but
the way we're going, it might be another one. So who are you looking for interview? Who, Billy? Who?
I think he means Bradley. Oh no. The actor or the actress? The actor David Oman? I'm confused, Billy.
Sure, hook us up.
Always you should go to his house. Well, where does he live?
Yeah.
It's really hard to travel right now.
Yeah, not so easy. Not so easy just to travel by any means.
It's really difficult to travel right now. The restrictions might be lifted within the communities and the cities in Canada, but the traveling just hammered down. So it's just really tough because I was invited to Europe and I'm like, I am not going to be there till next fall.
I'm always invited to Europe. It's like my second home in some parts of it. I'm like,
there's no way. There's no way I could get there until next fall. There's absolutely no way. Nothing is being lifted. Potentially, they're not even for sure, but they're saying all goes well. Everything's lifted in March, so we're excited about that. It'd be nice to wear lipstick outside of my house again because wearing a mask, there's really no point.
So they just click on the link. We're ready.
Yeah, I like Joe's little slogan at the bottom. His name is Happy Almost Halloween.
Getting there, man. We're getting there.
Yeah, honey, we are. It's just a few days away. I wonder what everybody in the chat room, what are you guys doing for Halloween while we're waiting? Let us know.
Just a few days away, actually.
Yeah.
It's really coming up. I have restrictions lifted down there. Well, isn't that nice, Zach?
It was lifted a long time before you got COVID too. Just saying. I'm glad that you're better though.
I know. Yeah, I
Hi,
know.
Corinne.
I
Yes,
know. Hi,
I'm glad that
Corinne.
you're better, Zach. But yeah, we don't even want to go into COVID. But anyways, we're happy that we're moving along and things are looking brighter. There's a light at the end of the tunnel and it's glowing here in Canada. It's glowing. This is just our province. We're not referring to the rest of the country. They're lifted in different provinces.
Wayne painting my veranda. We actually
Taste
have a special
testing my
events
kids'
to do
candy. That's
down on
nice,
Queen
Bradley.
Street in Niagara. Taste
Yeah.
my kids' candy. Yeah, well, that's all right. The taste testing candy is always fun. Those days are long gone for me, but
Oh yeah, me
but
too.
we do have an event over on Queen Street, which is like a Q&A locally here for, friends, fiends, family.
I'm so glad that you can do it this year. I'm so happy
we didn't do
that
it last year. I did it a
No,
couple
but
years ago, and
nothing
I
was
thought it
done
was
last
cool.
year. I was there the last time you
2
did
years
it.
ago. Yeah,
We did a show for Dave Benison.
That's
We
right.
went in and did a show for him at the Q station that we ended up being in for a while.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know what this
90-kilometer winds. You might not have any chocolate to taste.
Right.
You might want to stock up on that yourself. Make
That's
sure
what
your
happens
kids
when you're
have
out in the
candy.
ocean. All the candy just goes.
I wonder if the sea lions are eating. Can you imagine? Ooh, Kit Kat.
I don't know. All right, here we go.
Here we go. Yay!
Hello. There she is.
Hi, hope you can hear me all right.
Yes.
We can hear you. Yeah, how are you?
Good to see you. What time is it there?
It is 2:21 here. We've got rain going on and we're having internet outages.
Oh,
So,
because of the weather. How do you pronounce the city where you're from? Because I said you're from New Zealand because I was embarrassed. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself and fudge it up. So how do you say the city where you're from?
Aotearoa.
Aotearoa.
That's Aotearoa.
Yes,
Aotearoa. I want to name a child that. I want to name a child that.
No,
that's beautiful.
You don't even want to try it. You're just going to butcher it.
No, I did butcher it twice. Twice I butchered it.
No, it's fine. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back from Crown called it New Zealand. We call it Aotearoa. So,
nice.
That's the native name, yes.
I have a
so
friend
I'm sorry, ladies, I was a bit late.
No,
not at all.
Hey, everybody's fashionably late. We're pretty laid back here, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, we're actually early. We're usually not on till 20 past.
Yeah.
Oh,
we know how to amuse ourselves. So
yeah.
So I'm really glad you could join us. We were just explaining to everybody that you never know, where you're going to end up, because so many people in chat have a story to tell, and we have those who just follow along faithfully, which we love, and that's how we kind of got to know you a little bit, is just through stories and through one of our Q&As, and we thought, wow, what a fascinating story to tell. You've had a very fascinating existence, shall we say. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with like humble beginnings? I know it's sort of tumultuous, but we can touch on that a bit and see where you want to take it and such.
All right. Well, I'm known as Stone Hobbit. I've been known as Stone Hobbit for about 10, 15 years or so. I was born in New Zealand, Aotearoa. I have a pretty dark background. I don't know, do you want to go into a bit of the...
Yeah, just touch on it a bit. Sure, okay. Absolutely.
All right. I come from a background that is military. My grandparents were military. They are involved in politics. So my step-grandfather was a politician. They were involved in Masonic order. They were involved in a pedophile cult ring here in New Zealand called Centrepoint. It's well known. And just before everything went to court and stuff, we were flown out of New Zealand and landed in Australia. Wow. So basically, I was in a pedophile family, pedophile ring, child trafficked from a very early age, infancy. and basically bounced from town to town because my parents at the time were miners. They, worked in the forestry, they worked in mines, they worked in the fire brigade, worked just all over the place. I counted over 20 schools in my lifetime.
Wow.
Wow, that's
I
a
did.
lot for a child.
Well traveled.
Yeah.
School district.
You could say well traveled,
Oh.
but they were always running from something. With all the dark stuff in my life, I also encountered a lot of what I once called paranormal. I don't look at it as paranormal anymore because it's normal for me.
You're freezing.
Oh no!
You're freezing up on us. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no!
I think you
Okay,
sound
how
like
now?
underwater a little bit. It's pieces.
Just take your time speaking
Yeah.
so that
Yeah,
it
no
picks
problem.
up. It picks up the lag. It'll slow it down. Don't worry.
What's the last we heard? Oh no!
I wish we had a phone line. I wish we had a phone line right now.
I know. It's a
Yeah,
big,
it would be easier because then you could just call. That is so bizarre.
Do you want to?
This never fails. You know,
Okay.
I can be in a chat room.
You probably have no issue.
It goes crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
probably have no issues in chat.
Well, no, but you're also not streaming. It's a little bit different when you're streaming. So I don't know. You might have tried to leave the studio and come back in on a fresh connection. Maybe try that.
Okay, I'll do that, and if that doesn't work, we'll have another plan. Maybe. Okay, be right back.
Sure.
All right, we'll give it a
It's
whirl.
Halloween. Crazy stuff is supposed to happen. What were we
It-
thinking? Of course.
It is. It sounds like she's definitely had a really, dark upbringing for sure. That's definitely a good segue into the paranormal. I think a lot of people in that situation, especially, when you're getting into cults and ritual abuse and ritual magic and things like that, you're definitely bound to somehow end up with some kind of attachment or interest anyway.
Mhm.
Let's face it. I don't know. We'll just wait for her to chime back in. And I do know that she's from conversation. She's been a paranormal investigator, for about 20 years. So she's definitely has a lot, a lot to talk about with that. And she is an experiencer, abductee, and she's suffered from night terrors, and she has had encounters with greys and with reptilians. I guess Wiggy.
Wow.
It's just, I don't know how I feel.
All down under.
I know. It goes to show you, right?
I watched a couple of episodes of, I don't know if anybody watches Below Deck. I don't know which one it was, but they're on a yacht, and they were all from Australia. I think one was from New Zealand, all of the employees. And I was able to listen to her without even flinching. I just want to get Dolly's comment. Sorry, I had to get my glasses on.
Yes, all background
did
programs.
that. Yeah.
That's just it.
Yep, there she is. Let's see if it works.
I will tell her that.
Yep. Thank you, Dolly.
Make sure you have all of your background programs on the computer shut down, updates, everything that comes in. Okay, we're going to try it again. So, we left off at dark, humble beginnings, dark origins. So where do you want to go from that? Moving to Australia. We're in Australia. We're running. Where do we go from there?
All right. Long story short, all over Australia.
That's fine.
To a place called Muliella. It's a little mining town. It's Aboriginal word. I always knew it as Endeavour Resources, but that was the company that owned it. My mother and I were coming home one evening, and she exclaimed that there was something bright, an orange ball coming up behind us. So anyway, being a kid, I was, going into my teens and stuff. I look out the back, and sure enough, an orange flying ball was coming towards us. And that was the last thing I remember of it. I came to with a guy who was going to our village, knocked on the window and asked my mum if she was okay. We both sort of came to. We ended up getting towed home, and we went with him. It was so intense, whatever it was that went over us was so intense that it melted the boom box that I had. I know it as a boom box now, but it was a tape deck back in the day.
Right.
And it melted my cassette tape. I'm not going to tell you what sort it was. You're going to have to really twist my arm to get that one out. And
As long as it's not a boy band, we're good.
No, it wasn't actually. But in that process of time, whatever it was had been sighted right across Australia over to Victoria, Melbourne, and Sydney, and they were trying to say that it was Sputnik. Now, later on, I discovered that, the so-called Sputnik was a satellite that was meant to have come down. Now, as far as I'm aware of, satellites don't turn around and come back across the country, because this one turned around after it was seen in Victoria, and then it came back across the village that I was in and crashed down in what we called the Two Sisters, which were two rocks, and between the two rocks there was this big lake sort of thing that we could swim in. But there was never any wreckage found. The military came in, and we were just overtaken. And through that process, there were a few people that suddenly vanished. We didn't see them again, or they turned up in freak accidents. Like a chap that I knew, I'm just going to call him Sid for now. He was found in his car, buried up to the chest in sand, in his car in a riverbed, because where he was known for flash floods going through a little town called Marble Bar. So straight after that, I was shipped out and sent back here to New Zealand, where I stayed in the program. The program was, the Masonic program was for debutantes and so on that are going to be married into the so-called ritual families. And from there, I just basically got to unfold all of the parts of everything that had gone on, because I was a child of a trafficking program. There's my father bought and sold me for whatever, and later on it got down to my sister and so on, and there were other children involved. So that's the darker side of it. So over here in New Zealand, I went through a stage where I was trying to figure out why, what, where, when, because growing up, this is how it was for me. I saw the entities. Whenever a bad event was going to take place or something, these entities would start showing up. At the time, these entities to me, because I was raised in a sort of religious background on one day, and then on the next day I was raised in a satanic ritual, dark magic voodoo on the other side of it. So it was like, okay, I had a bit of both. I had the angelics, and I had the demonic, and then I had the the in between, the ghosts and the things that go bump in the night. I don't recall having night terrors as a child, but I wouldn't be at all surprised, because when it comes to the night terrors, my kids have had them. They still have them as adults. Their kids have them. So somehow, now, So that's my humble beginnings. I've with all the negative that's happened, I've also had the positive encounters. I've gone through some major health issues in my life, being, coming out, trying to speak out about the abuses that took place. And what I discovered from that was every agency that I was told that were there for the betterment of my well-being, the betterment of my health, they did the opposite. They actually just compounded the injuries even more so. And I didn't know there was any injuries until these people started coming out of the woodwork telling me what had happened to me was wrong.
Right.
So this is
not
the
normal.
program.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
I had to question everything. I had to question I had to question what love was. because part of the programming was when I questioned those involved, I got told I did it because I loved you. You know, that really messes with your brain, you know. So I went through counselling and for years, at least 3 years, and discovered that they didn't have the answers. They didn't know what the heck they were dealing with.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I
That's,
wanted to
that's
know.
a hard pill to swallow, really.
Oh, heck yeah. I needed to know what they were saying because it wasn't making sense to me. So I
Right.
started studying psychology. And I got through that. So I was able to turn around and say, hey, look, you know, what you're doing here is actually wrong. It's actually illegal. And then I found out they'd put me into a program here in New Zealand called the Exit Strategy. It's, you know, you can look it up. It's all above board and everything. It's all through the news. And from there, I realised that every government agency, when I started realising about the straw man identity, because I also ended up working in a field of common law, going into court, sitting there watching, I became an advocate for, you know, for people's rights, and seeing that what was going on was absolute rubbish. It was absolute against what we were taught they were there to be for. They weren't representing anybody but the bank themselves.
Right.
So I went from that, and I've always had abilities. So I've had like visions. I've been clairvoyant, mediumship. I read tarot cards. Used to do palm reading. The whole kit and caboodle. I still play with my rune bones and my pendulum. The rest of it is just people reading. It's just I just see the energies around people. I can see the areas that they're ill in, because I've been ill in those areas myself. I can recognise. No, I'm not going to always get it right. I'm not medical in any form. I am a phlebotomist. I have my QPT, which is, you know, I'm a qualified phlebotomist technician. I worked in labs, looking at people's, waste products, blood, sputum, you name it, and analysing it. And then one day I kept getting in trouble because, you know, I wasn't actually qualified to go into the areas that I was actually somehow finding myself into. It's always been a matter of not even trying to be put into these positions. They just there. I step forward and learn what I need to, and then get in trouble and out I go again. It just sort of leads me on to the next stage of my evolution. And throughout this process, these beings never stopped coming. Okay, they've always come, and over the years, it's just gotten stronger and stronger. It's like I can pretty much go outside and go, you know, do my little signal and say my little mantra. And you know, it used to be 3 minutes they'd show up. Within 3 minutes of me doing it, they'd show up. Now it's just I just have to go outside.
Right.
As soon as, you know, they'll flash me. I call them the flasher because back in the day I had no other, you know, terminology for what it was that I was constantly seeing. And I don't believe in coincidence anymore. Things happen. They're always happening. And it's like I'll have people around me as an advocate today. I have people around me and they're like, we don't know why certain things happen when they do. Well, you don't have to overanalyze it, because one way or another, you're going to learn something from it. It's to how you perceive the information that you're getting from it, how you choose to actually play with what's being given to you. You know, so when people turn around and say to me, you know, I'll pray for you or I'll send you love and light and energy, I don't actually need that.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't actually need it because for me, as an experiencer, I want to experience. I want to go into these areas and know what's going on. I'm, you know, I keep it real. If I don't understand it, I'll keep working at it until it comes to me, you know. It's logic first. I used to be a big fan of Star Trek. It was always Spock. But then Data came along, and then Bishop came along, and then Yoda came along, and
you just keep evolving through the crew. So, right.
So, and I've yes, go on.
Well, I just wanted to back up a little bit to night terrors, because I know I've known so many people who've had them. Can you attribute them at all to your childhood experiences, or is it something completely different for you? Because people who, let's say, it's very it's a very wide spectrum with night terrors. You know, some people say, oh, it's the hag syndrome. Other people will give you completely logical reasons for them. Other people say, no, it's a process of an abduction. What is it for you, do you think?
Well, like I said, I don't recall too many night terrors as a child, but I
Right.
do recall my kids having night terrors. And I don't recall my kids ever going through anything drastic enough to cause or warrant the reactions that they were having.
Wow.
And as for me, yes, I've going through the psychology levels of it. They put it down to childhood traumas and the stuff that I've gone through. Now, there are areas there that I can easily say, oh, yes, absolutely, that would cause that, that would cause that, but I don't recall it actually causing it for me.
Right.
In some of the night terrors I've had, I've always been at that pinnacle of, I need help. I need help. So I start calling out. I start screaming out at the top of my internal lungs. And because I've given myself a focus point and I can call out that one person to break me out, you know, it's just a mindset of breaking me out of the, you know,
I've had like the sleep paralysis thing. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So over the years, each time it came along, I tried to capture me having one, because over the years, it was signs started showing up. And so when I started seeing more and more of these signs, I knew, okay, well, I get the feeling I'm going to have a night terror. So
Right.
I
And
will set, yeah.
can you tell
So,
us a
but,
bit about those?
okay. Well, it started off with, I just knew that something, it was like an atmosphere thing that just doesn't sit right. And when I get that, it's almost like a message that's coming in somewhere, and I go, okay, everybody, I'm going to have a night terror tonight. Please don't disturb me. I'm trying to capture it. It came on as a feeling state. In the early days when I started recognizing that I was having these night terrors, my first real vicious one was, I'm lying in bed. I could hear everybody else out there around me and stuff. And I started hearing these voices, and I turned my head over to look to see who it was coming down the hallway, and I realized that the lighting of the house, the hallway, was wrong. I noticed that there was nobody next to me in my bed. Then there was no physical body of these entities that came in, just faces. And the closest face I can say is like the one that's in the Scream portrait. You know, he's got the big distorted face. It was like that, okay? But there was a lot of them. And it was hands, lots of hands. And I'm screaming because it's really hurting. Whatever that they're doing to me is really hurting. And I'm like, no, let me go. And I could feel them ripping me out of my physical body until it came to my feet. And I felt like I was just honestly hanging on by that little tether. And I begged them to leave me alone. I just begged with I don't even know who they were, okay? And at that point, I was told they'll be back. We'll be back. And they let me go. And I woke up and I stayed awake for the rest of the night.
Oh, I'd be frightened. I'd be awake as well. You must have been so afraid.
That was one of them. But over the time, I mean, I was hospitalized with pneumonia, and I said to them, look, I suffer from night terrors. I don't think this is a good thing, putting me in a room with other people. And it was a mess up from the start. I know that if I hadn't got up and walked out of that hospital and I was lying through my teeth to get out of there, I don't think I would have made it out of there alive. There were so many issues that went on. It was absolutely crazy. I had a lady opposite me saying, get out of here, they're going to kill you. I had a night terror because they gave me medication. I told them that I could not have any more because I had totally emptied out my system and I had become vegan, you know, plant-based. And I was doing a big spiritual, you know, change in my lifetime at the time. And so the chemicals they gave me, I believe I had a reaction to, and in the night terror, I knew I was going into one and I couldn't do anything about it because they had already partially sedated me. So usually I can fight whatever comes at me, but when I was sedated, it was a bit different. I had to just sort of go with the flow. I couldn't, and in that I was hit in the back of the head with a gun butt. And when that happened and everything blacked out, I sat up and I had suffered from a mini stroke, okay, because they had overdosed me on the medications. So I got out of there as fast as I could.
My gosh. Wow.
Yeah. Now, I'll jump onto the light energy, because that will go back into the night terrors and stuff. In 1989, I lost my first son to a cot death. He was 10 and a half months old.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. It's all history. It's, part of the parcel, the journey. And he taught me a lot while he was here. He's my little gift. Okay. Anyway, there were a lot of spiritual, paranormal things that took place with his passing. Like his train would toot. He had a push train and it would toot, and there was nobody in the room. I remember jumping. I was in the bathroom away from the rest of the members of the family that had come, and I jumped up and went straight in the room, and there was nobody there. You could smell him, though. I could smell his, his essence in the room. And there were a few incidents of green eyes straight after he had passed. I had green eyes. You could see them in the back seat of the car where he used to sit in his car seat. And then there was a young girl his age. We were in hospital together and had the kids at the same time, so they were the same age. And she would sit in his car seat and she would take on his personality and do what he used to do in the car seat. Now, after the funeral and everything had all settled down, I had one of these callings, if you want to call it. I'd gotten up. I'd been disturbed a couple of times through that evening. I got up, went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I got into bed, and I lay straight down. Now, in front of me, at my foot, there was a bay window and a long driveway. Now, there was a couple of J. Bedford 2 trucks, my car, a fence, and a pine tree before you got to my window. But this light that started coming down the driveway was so intense that it just bypassed all the other physicalities that were there, came into the room. I'm actually speeding this up because there's, quite a few of it. Came into the room and it just lit up the room to the point where you couldn't see anything. I couldn't see my partner at the time in bed with me. I couldn't see anything in the room. Now, there was two things that went across my mind. I'm dying.
And I'm going to black, right?
Yeah. And so otherwise, what is it? And then I heard these noises like, and then I thought, okay. And then I started seeing movement in this white light. And before long, I saw a tall figure coming down the steps holding the hand of a small figure. And as closer they got, the appearance became Jesus Christ. Now, by this stage of my life, Jesus is not in my life, okay? He's gone, all right? I've moved on. And he was holding my son's hand, and I'm like, well, my ghost was coming back to me. He's coming back, I want to interact. It's only 2 weeks since he died. So I'm like, okay, show me, And then when my son reached out to hold my hand, there was something that was not quite right about this, and I pulled away. And as soon as I pulled away, everything just went whoosh, and I felt like I had dropped straight down, like a plummeted down, and I'm back. It was so heavy. Everything was heavy around me. The breathing became heavy. And then I'm thinking, oh no, what did I just give up? No, come back. I want this to happen again. Please, I'm not going to chicken out. And I turned over by the stage because I'm like, feeling a bit mental. And I put my face is face into the pillow, okay, because I'm upset. I don't want to wake my partner, lots of reasons. And then I started, it was like I was in the first position where I was sitting back up in bed and it was coming through the window. But I know I physically was face down in the pillow when it was happening. So it came back. they came back down the steps and stuff. He reached his hand out the second time. I'm looking at everything. And all I can say is, like, it sounds absolutely crazy, but I understand how they work now. I saw angels. I saw angels standing on the sides of these steps with big ass wings, with my son and stuff, and thought how lucky and all of this. And as soon as they got close again, once again, this overwhelming thought went past me saying, something's wrong here. This is not right. And I pulled away and it was gone. Now, for years, I knocked myself about that experience. You know, what could I have gained if I had just touched that hand, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next experience I had with that was, I'm now a mother of 3 kids and I have a different partner, and we're on a different island, and Waiheke Island. And it was a weird evening. We knew the sensations. Now, I never had any night paralysis that I recall on that first experience where the light came in, all right? So on the second one, it was a weird evening. My partner was in bed. I was in bed. We were facing, back to back, so we're looking outside of the sides of the bed. In the next room over, it was a room that had no lock on it, and it didn't fit. It was a little country place that had been rebuilt, so nothing measured up properly, square. And so you could see light coming out of that room. There was no lock on it, and there was a bunk bed. I had 3 kids. Anyway, that evening, I'm in bed and I'm getting this heavy feeling, heavy sensation. And I asked my partner, are you feeling it? And he's like, the room feels heavy. It's fine. So after that, I hear a disturbance and I open my eyes and there's a little figure standing in my doorway. Now, it was just meant to be like a little study room, but, I needed a room for adults. So it was like a little study archway with no curtain, no doorway or anything. But there was a little image standing at the bottom. And I thought, very first impression was, it was my son who was just turned 3. He'd come to, woken up out of bed, wanted some attention. But as soon as I had that thought that it was my son, I realized it wasn't. It was a little grey standing there with a big head looking at me, and I swore at the top of my eternal lungs, leave my dirt kids alone. Don't you touch them, because I had obviously encountered this being before to have such a spontaneous reaction to what I had had. Mm-hmm. At this stage, my partner is talking to me, but not verbally. I can hear panic. He can hear my panic. He can hear me screaming. And at this stage, I'm feeling my body is in total paralysis. I cannot physically move. And it's like, it's one of those things of you ever been held down with heaps of people sitting on top of you and you cannot breathe. This is what it is like. I managed to break out of that. I threw myself off the bed. I ran to the other door and I could not open it. With all my might, I could not open it. I kept asking myself over and over again, am I awake? Am I awake? Am I awake? Yes, I'm awake, and I'm putting my energy into this. Anyway, you could see light coming out of the top crack and the bottom crack of it. Anyway, I'm swearing out loud, and I managed to get the door open. As soon as I opened the door, the room is full of white light, okay? And it was the same white light as the first time. Now, I left a couple of things out. In the first one, when they first came in, there was this total bliss, this total peacefulness, like this was a good thing that was happening to me. I could relax into it. This is the first occasion. And I could smell what smelled like African violets, the little purple ones, mm-hmm. and miniature pink wild roses. If you can combine those two, that's what this smell was like. And I now recognize that's the smell I get when there's a death going to happen or somebody's getting close to passing on or has just passed on. The other one is a very putrid smell, which is I stay a bit away from that.
Right. So, I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, I'm standing at the door. The room is so white. I cannot see the corners. I cannot see the architraves, the light, the fittings, the bunks. The kids can't. And I'm swearing. And as soon I must have had a key point or something, because the light engulfed in on itself, and it went into like a really tiny ball. And I'm watching this. I haven't let go of the gaze of it, and it comes straight at me. And there was no time for me to move out of the way. And it hit me in the stomach, and I went down on my butt. Okay, I went across the floor. We had a wooden floor. I went across the floor a little bit. At this stage, I turn around, and there's my partner standing there pulling me up, and we're going into the kids' room. Okay, we get the kids out of bed. One's already sitting up. One's crying. The other one doesn't know what the hell's going on. And we get out of there, and because we're in the cottage had an outhouse. The outhouse was the bathroom and the toilet and another little room. So we get everybody to go there, and then we go up onto the hill, and that was it. We don't remember anything else. We woke up the next day in our beds as if nothing else had happened. None of us remember what happened when we got to the road. Okay, so there's that part of it. The next one was a few years later after that. I am doing a reading for a young girl. I didn't know anything about her. She was a total stranger. And in doing the reading, I heard the voices were coming in, and I picked it up to be a connection to her. The message was about Frog. Frog turned out to be her father, who gave a message about a rose that was written on a piece of board, da-da-da. But in this process, I got accurate information with her, but in this process, there was this noise, and I turned around and I looked. I mean, other people can't hear some of the noises that I hear, because I've now become, sensitive to the frequencies of other beings and entities coming in. They're noisy.
Right,
they trip over stuff. When they have to balance the frequency to be in this density that we call 3D, they make noise. They trip up like we do. So at the stage now, I'm seeing my son again. Well, what the heck are they playing at? Why are they showing me another image of my son after 15, 16 years or so, and it's like, absolutely not. You've got this image wrong. I'm not going to be fooled again. I know how you guys work, because I've had other encounters where they've showed up. And so as soon as I called them out on it, the illusion that they had playing broke, and I got to see them. All right. Okay, and then so after that, I was able to put the three to four different bright light room things, because they came in that one as well, and I got to see how they manipulated the memories. Okay, I got to see now when I go into the night terrors with the same paralytic state that they put me in, I also had with these greys. All right. So now I'm like, okay, when I go into these states at one of these experiences of night terror, I'm stuck between dimensions. I'm not stuck, but I'm still getting used to the fact that I'm going into dimensions.
Yeah, dimensional travel.
Yeah, as soon as you realize, you've got to keep a certain focus, a certain frequency, because as soon as you even slightly think of something else, it's going to change. You're either going to get thrown out, get stuck somewhere, or So anyway, I was partway through a dimension, and the girl, the best way I can describe her, she looked like the girl, was it Out of the Ring? It's either a cross between the girl out of the Ring with the black hair, or the little boy out of another movie. They're both. The Bride. Yes, that's it. Yep. and it honestly, she honestly, she looked like that, and she reached down to me. Now, I've had a lot of experiences where these beings have reached down using different images, like Jesus Christ he's come to me 3 or 4 times like this now, and each time they've offered me their hand, any experience I have where they offer me their hand, for some reason I always refuse it. Okay, I don't want their help. I don't trust them. But when this little girl did it, it was a weird experience. It felt like I could trust her, because she didn't look prim and proper and all of this other stuff, and there was nothing being hidden here. And she pulled me through, and she said, you've got seconds, they'll be after you. And when I turned around to see who she was talking about, I saw what looked like men in black without hats chasing me along. And by now I'm running, and she's gone. She's gone. But I managed to get right round this massive as area of land and then come back in and see, because on that particular experience, one of these beings who was chasing me also accidentally stepped through into our reality, and I got to see them as a shadow being. As soon as they realized they'd stepped into this realm, they stepped back out. But
That's interesting.
It only took that split second for me to see them step in, see them as a shadow being over here, and then step back. So yeah.
So there's shadows here, but they're not in another dimension. That's
it was about the light frequency from one dimension and how it reflects when on a solid mass stepping into this area, into our
That's
dimension.
actually a really interesting theory, because some people do believe that it is maybe a being that just sort of steps into, like, dimensionally speaking, and it's just a different, I guess, frequency density.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I can
Very
put
cool.
it down to at this time.
Right.
That's what my findings have been. Is it comes down to frequency, and density. Each of these densities that we, because the dimensions they're all broken up by densities. Okay.
Yes.
And and each being in these densities will hold a certain frequency. And when they can, it's like a time gating, that's another aspect of all of this. This is where it's gone. It's taken me off this planet through stargates, I'll tell you.
Wow, that's fascinating, though. So, I mean, that's a good ET experience.
Well, I don't look at them as bad at ET experiences now, because at one stage, being an abductee and trying to fight and you can't take me against my will, you're breaking my free will, you're doing all of this, that, and everything else.
But when you relax, things get better. Is that right?
Well, when I started saying, hey, no, I want to know more, don't do this to me anymore. I know what I want to learn. I want to learn.
Do you think that you were having horrific experiences because you were fighting, and they're just like, calm the hell down? Like, it's just like, did you think it was something along those lines, or?
Well, I'm not 100% sure on it, because I'm basically at the point now where perception. This is what I've learned. Perception is key. You can go through mass amounts of pain without even feeling a single bit of it. Right. And it comes down to your perception, the strength of your perception. Once again, that comes down to knowing your frequency and what your toleration levels are and how to build them up or not. But we need to have some of these. They're safety barriers. If you can't feel pain, you're not going to survive very long in this reality, in this density. Right. I know that I've had experiences where I've gone into these night terrors. See, back in the day, on the second encounter I was explaining, that wasn't the only encounter. I woke up one morning and my partner said to me, "What the heck have you done to yourself?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I had whip marks across my back, and there was absolutely no way that I could have had these markings across my back. They were clear as. And the terror experience that I had was I was always running. I was always running from something, or looking for, protection, or hiding from something that was after me. So over a period of time, I realized that, yes, I did do a lot of fighting. And it's only shown up on, like, I now see what the super soldier aspect of it is as well, because all of these experiences, it's not just about ETs coming and going and visiting. It's also the actual other aspects of the work that you're doing in the different dimensions. I taught myself how to fly, astral project. I taught myself, and I had lots and lots of encounters where I'd get to similar feeling states as when I interacted with these other beings. So I was able to start taking note of the encounters, You know,
Right,
what
right,
the
right.
commonalities between the different types of beings, the different dimensions, different feeling states, what I had eaten, what my emotional states were at the time, before and after, physical, you know, before and after, different symptoms that would kick in. Like, you know, I could go into one particular realm, and if I wasn't ready to go in there, I'd come back with bruises. You know, I'd come back with markings in some of them. So I got used to, okay, I'm aching in this area. What have I just done? Or, you know, it wasn't like I'd have these memories come back to me because they never actually left. It was just that I got preoccupied with something else.
Right.
So once I sat in my own space for a couple of minutes, yeah, it was like clearing. Everything became frequency for me.
That's crazy.
When
Wow.
I went through some pretty rough stuff trying to do, you know, doing my own regressions, because I've proved to myself, like growing up, I proved that magic was real, that we have reincarnated lives. Well, the start, like when in my last life, I died of pneumonia, and in this life, I suffered from pneumonia. You know, I've had different ailments through the time, which I can also recount having lives connected to, you know, being a soldier in the Second World War and getting shot, you know, young guy, and stuff like this. It just keeps flooding back. One of the abilities that I have is I used to just play it. It was just playtime for me at the time, until I realized what it actually was, that it was actually a gift. I was able to sit in trance and talk to people normally and see their last life. It was like I was seeing the last minute of their life right before everything became a white flash. And the thing that got me was they were able to see me back at that last split second. They were able to see me because they looked me straight in the eye. And in this lifetime, to have two people that I knew but didn't know well enough to know what their fears were, if they even had fears, and to be able to pinpoint the last actions of their life and find the connection between the trauma, you know, the end of life vision that they, you know, their experience and what I saw and how they react to it today in this density. It was absolutely a mind opener for me. Once I started saying, okay, bring me more, I want to know more, I want to learn more, because there was a lot happening. I was sitting there on the couch one day and had with a girlfriend, and we were just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden in walks these people from the hallway, and I know nobody was home. They just walked straight past us. It was like 2 or 3 shadow beings just walking straight past us, and we're like just dumbfounded. And they walked out the front door, because the front door was open. It was during summer. It was, you know, like in the afternoon. The glass door was open. And as they walked past the glass door, we saw their reflections. So these shadow beings had reflections, and they walked through the house. And it's like one of those things, you know. There's never been a house I've ever stayed at where I haven't had some form of experience.
Well, I think if you're gifted, you're going to have experiences, period. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you're sort of like a beacon. Do you find that, just trying to back up a little bit, getting back to dealing with certain types of beings, you made mention when we were chatting at one point that you had experiences with different types of, again, we'll just go with ET, before we progress onward. So I obviously some of the descriptions you're giving are grays. You've had
Yes.
experiences with reptilians also.
Yes.
Okay, what was? Yeah, see, that's controversial. Some people say they're real a-holes. Other people are like, oh no, they're really great. What was your experience with them?
I can't recall having bad experiences with them.
Okay, interesting.
I have a shadow chap, a shadow reptilian, and the first time I really recognised that I'd seen him a few times was I was cleaning up in the house, and I turned around and I just happened to catch a reflection in the TV, which was switched off. This is back in the 80s. This is after my son had passed on. And I looked back in the TV, and there was this, it wasn't my reflection. It was past me. So I turned around, had a look on the wall, and there was nothing there. There was not even a shadow. I'm just trying to figure out, where is this light coming in and creating this image I'm seeing on screen? Everything has to be logic. I questioned the questions. Okay.
That's good, though. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I analyze everything, mate. I have to. I want facts. Anyway, I looked back in the TV and it was gone. So I turned around, looked on the wall, and there was this massive ass shadow on the wall. And I'm like looking around to see where it's being made from, and I can't see anything. And I look back at the reflection of the TV, and now it's in the TV. And I just drop what I'm doing and I leave. I'm out of that house. I'm not going, because you got to remember, my son had passed on, and there were a lot of really weird stuff that was going on. Mm-hmm. I had a Rottweiler dog, because I was also a surrogate parent for, rescued animals, mm-hmm. RSPCA animals. And every time I went to step outside, it would get into like a protective state. It was like there was something else there at that time, and it was not a good energy. And I don't know where it came from, but I know that it never came from me. This is after my son had passed on. So anyway, later on, I started getting some weird phone calls, and I could hear, it was almost like static. And I thought, but this is the time when I gave up reading tarot cards. and doing things like, Ouija boards and this sort of stuff. So once I cleared all of that out, then I had this vision where I was in a car, and the car was stuck between two trucks. And when I was parked at the garage, I looked back, and me being the being in the car was no longer the being in the car. It was a skeleton. So anyway, that was just like, okay, well, that's in the back there. And then one day I'm down at the garage, it's late at night. I had to go and get a bottle of milk or something. And I was coming back, had a friend in the vehicle with me, because by this stage I'm not driving on my own anymore. And one truck goes past, then there's a little mini in the next vehicle, and then another truck. And as the mini goes past me, there's a skeleton driving it. A skeleton. And I'm like, I've not been drinking. Okay. I haven't had anything. What was it I just saw? When I asked my friend if they saw something, they saw a car, but they didn't see who was driving it. There was nobody driving it. So anyway, that led on to another vision where I saw the same vehicle go through. It missed a corner, went over the driveway, over the footpath, and through a hedge. But the process was, somebody had phoned me, and I didn't hear it said to me, and I said what I had just had the vision of, and then they hung up, so I never knew who it was at that stage. And then later on, I got this terrifying call at 3:00 in the morning from someone I got to know saying, "You just saved my life." And I said, "What?" And they're like, I phoned you, and I listened to what you said about that car coming across the road, and I took it to be a message for me. And that day when I went across there and I listened to that cat, because the cat was howling at me, because that was part of the vision was a cat. And so he stayed exactly where he was, and a car came flying around the corner, went through the hedge, and it would have killed him had he not listened to me. So that's when I started realizing that I have these visions. I've had visions of car crashes. Yeah, premonitions. Yep. Car crashes, people getting wounded and this sort of thing. I worked in a bakery, and I got to a stage where people were visiting me alive. And then the next time I saw them, I'm like holding their cracked skull with stuff running in my fingers, saying, "You'll be all right, you'll be all right, you'll be all right," knowing they're on their way out, So there were all these stages. I became so good at it that one day I was with some friends, and they gave me a map. Now, when I saw the map, there were these dots marked out on it. And what do these markings mean? Because they just look like a red dot, And I said, what markings? And I said, I can see markings. And I marked where I saw them. They said, no, there's no markings there. So I felt like I was going crazy because I could see red dots on this blooming map and nobody else could. So one day we decided to go and have a look at one of these dots on a map. We went for a drive. It wasn't too far away. And what I found was human remains. So that took me to another level. So it didn't stop. It didn't stop there. Okay. In the what was it? In the 2010 onwards, I started getting these orbs. They started showing up in all my photos. Any photos that were being taken, the orbs would show up. I didn't know what they were. Somebody said there was something wrong with the camera. It was my first camera. I went and got a new camera. They started showing up in that camera.
We'll look at some pictures in a bit too, so that way you can explain them, because orbs are very controversial in the paranormal, right?
Well,
Gas, pollen, moisture.
Yes, you've got to. I mean, when you're first starting out, you've got to realize, okay, it's excitement. It's really awesome, but there are the differences between the light flares, different angles of the camera. There are moisture drops and stuff. There are reflective reasons for particle matter to show up. But then I also have followed this for a long time. I've got a couple of orbs that actually live with me. I know that sounds really insane. This whole thing sounds insane, but this is my reality and I love it. But I've got to watch a personality develop between myself and this one particular orb. They started showing me that they could communicate with me by leaving me messages like exclamation marks, being able to give me the different colors as warning signs, or emotional signs, or they needed to be recharged somewhere, or don't go and associate with that person because big red orb will come up. And then I later find out that it was right. These people did have, different ulterior motives, or their personalities did actually fit into the messages that I was getting. Then I started getting faces. Then they started showing me how they come in tubes. I have got videos of daytime. I'm working on one at the moment. I'm trying to slow it down. I've had it for years. It's old technology though, so I'm not 100% sure how to make sure I don't lose any definition in it. It's daytime and it's like I'm at the end of a rainbow and you can see them going off everywhere. Now, I've questioned the particle matter, the moisture, I've questioned everything. But when I've slowed it down to 100%, you can see them coming through the wall in different colors and moving around the room. So, yeah, there's masses out there. There's a massive, some were portals. They started hatching and what looked like insects were coming out of them. But later on, I realized they weren't insects. I had a whole mass of these orbs come together in an energy and form a shape, a humanoid shape. So there is an intelligence behind this type of entity. They're not all orb entities. Some of them are also portals. I have got a couple of photos there where you look down it and it's like a spiral inside and you can see all these little beings standing in the, in the steps.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's so many areas, honey.
Do you want to like start looking at some pictures and you can describe, the pictures that you've sent, and then we can pick up where we left off and see if there's any questions. And
yep, that's fine. That's fine. I do at some stage. Please remind me to talk about the light beings that came into the room and morphed.
We could definitely talk. You can talk about that right now if you want. Then we'll do a station ID and then look at your pictures. How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
I also have what I call plasma spheres. Now, the difference between, I'll just clarify this now. The difference, I say, the spheres are more solid form. Okay, they're what I call the off-worlders. They come in ships and this sort of thing. Now, I call orbs. They're the dimensional ones, the aspects that come from the different dimensions. All right. So they're here they're here within our planet, within our dimensions. They're not off-worlders. So anyway, these plasma spheres have been coming in for years, and I have many videos of them. I've just been finding them just recently. I love it. Oh, I thought I'd lost them all on a dead hard drive, so I'm really excited. Anyway, these plasma spheres were coming. I got lots of witnesses to it, different people. And one evening, I'm sitting up in bed. It's still daylight. I've got the light on. I'm sitting upright. My partner at the time had gone for a walk. We'd had a bit of a tiff. And in comes this light, this like orange plasma sphere that I see all the time. And it comes in and I'm like, okay, I'm not moving, because I've already had so many encounters where I feel like I've messed up because I had an opportunity to communicate. So it's a fear factor thing. It's building up these tolerances to the little fear that creeps in. You know, it came into the room and I'm watching it come down next to the bed, and it's now forming a human-like shape. It's like fire. It's like the orange, the brightness of orange fire, and it's doing its little wee. I wasn't going blind. I wasn't getting burnt. I didn't have the fear feeling come in with it. There was none of that. And as it moved to the foot of the bed, it started to separate, split into two, and I'm like, okay. And one was taller than the other one, so it felt like it was a male figure and a female figure, and they were standing there. It was only like a split second, and then they morphed back into each other to become one again, and then carry on going along the foot of the bed and up the other side to the side that I was on, came right up to where I was sitting, and then leaned right over the top of me like this. And it's only this far apart, about a headspace apart. And from the shoulder area that looked like on this human sort of shape, from the shoulder it started to take on a human skin texture, and it came up the neck and it came up over the face, and it looked like it was making skin. And it got to the eyebrows, and that's when I lost it, okay? I instantly recognized the facial features as my partner who'd gone for a walk, and I felt at that split second that maybe what I was seeing was the spirit of my partner who'd gone for a walk and something bad had happened to them. So I panicked and stuffed the whole thing up. I screamed out loud. I don't know why I screamed fully. I don't know why. I did, like a sissy girl, and ran out of the room. As soon as I got to the lounge where down the hallway where these shadow beings came running down one day, walking down, there's my partners coming through the front door, so it wasn't them. So once again, I had messed up another full-on encounter. I could have learned so much more, and I've kicked myself for it ever since. But I'm not worried, because I've obviously needed this time to analyze the information so that the next time they arrive, I'm not going to be running down a hallway screaming.
Right. You know what? I always say that things happen as they should and only when they should. So if you're not ready, it doesn't mean that it's off limits.
Yeah.
It will happen again.
Now, I don't know who they were or where they came from. I had total strangers arriving on my doorstep asking me if I'd had a visit from the Sun people because they were coming to see me. Now, I don't know who these people were. They were total strangers to me. They were knocking on my door talking like this. But I've had a lot of weird things happen. Now, with these plasma spheres, we started watching them coming in over the city, and we got to the stage where we were flashing them, signaling. You'll hear it on the videos in the future. I'll put these videos out and send you guys copies and stuff.
Thanks.
But they come down. They came down so low that if we had had a broomstick, we would have been able to touch the inside of this big sack-like thing. We put it down to being like a soccer ball sack, like when you put all the balls away.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that, but it was like a big shadow, so that the orange orbs would come in, orange spheres would come in, go up inside it. You wouldn't see the orange glow anymore. They were like cloaked, and then it would move off. Now, this was hovering in our yard. When you see the photos of all the orbs in the yard, you'll see in some of them there's the water tank. You'll see just how low these things did actually come down. So Oh, honestly, these things never left. I put them down to being some sort of drone at one stage, but they proved to me, no, they're not drones, because I live rural and they'll turn up anytime they want to. So there's no Wi-Fi out here where I am.
Right. So it could be
I'm
anything.
in the
Right.
sticks, mate.
Okay, we're going to do station ID, and I'm going to see if Joe can come in and start the slideshow.
Perfect.
So
I've-
go ahead, Amelia.
I have feedback on her end, so I've been holding back, refraining from
end?
speaking. No, on Stone's end.
Oh, okay.
It comes up and down. It's okay. No, don't worry about it. It's just the connection between the two of us. Don't worry. It's not your
Okay.
fault. That's why I've been refraining, because when I spoke last time, it came out super loud on your side and came back, and I'm like, ugh. So anyways, you are tuned in right now. You're listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and myself, Amelia Pisano. And tonight's special guest is Stone Hobbit. She is talking all about her experiences, and my gosh, not just paranormal. This is a load. So if you missed it, don't forget to wait just a little bit and go into the archives. We are archived everywhere you can think of. If there is a platform, we are on it. Don't kid yourself. Check it. I swear to you, I promise. We are broadcasting live on 105.3 FM radio from the gorgeous city of New Orleans, and we're streaming live on YouTube at UFO Paranormal Radio, International Paranormal Radio, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials Radio. And we are also on...
Just reading down the list. We're on 8 different
I'm reading down the list
platforms.
because there's
Yeah.
8 different platforms. We don't have all the Facebook ones. I know Joel's got them in the chat, like News on the Flip Side. And my gosh, there's so many. But anyways, tonight we just want to give a big, huge thank you, and every night, to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Mr. Justin Snicker, who is the composer, creator, and the voice on our intro and outro. He's an award-winning composer. You can find him on Bandcamp, and I think it's Bandcamp, right? And Amazon. You could Google him and find him anywhere. He's also on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He is everywhere. Also, tonight, we'd like to thank the great folks at Folgers Coffee tonight and every night for sponsoring our show. Thank you so much, Folgers. We love you. Take a deep breath. I'm sorry. I'm like suffering from a freaking headache too. So like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. You did all right. So here are the pictures. So we're going to let you get started, and maybe you can just, fill everybody in on what they are.
Well, this is the orange plasma spheres. These are what I see. You're going to start seeing a lot more people are going to capture more images of these types of craft going past. And it's like a plasma, yeah, I can't really describe too much. They like to cloak themselves. They can be there 1 minute and gone the next, but they're still actually there. They've just dimmed down their light. They can be in a group. You can just see one at one stage, and then all of a sudden you see a whole lot of them together. It's because there's what I label as a mothership, but it's not really like a big ship. It's more like a sack that I was explaining before that they go up into and they cloak. We watched about 40 of these go up into what we thought was a cloud when we first started capturing these on film and seeing them. I saw a flash out of the corner of my eye one day, and I said to my friend, keep an eye on those over there. There's something over here as well. And it was at the end of our garage where we saw it. So these orange plasma spheres would come across, and they would go up into this bigger cloaking mothership, if you want to call it that, and then that would go off so people wouldn't see it. And they would come down low enough to mimic street lights. They would turn up at certain times each day when people weren't paying attention to the sky. Right? We were seeing them all the time. They're not just, when we've seen them, they've also come as translucent, almost like crystal balls. I've seen them as white spheres, seen them as blue spheres, but this is the orange plasma sphere, and when this is the same coloring and everything as the plasma beings that came into my room. This is what the color they look like. This is actual footage that we've taken, photos that we've taken of them going across the sky. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Okay, next one, please. Nope.
Yeah, hi, Joe.
That's just me saying, we're ready. Come on. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Don't call me. What are you doing? Going backwards.
Yeah.
A little bit of a
That's funny.
icon. There we go. It's just, a little bit of promo. So,
That's okay. He's in the chat room too.
what are we doing?
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Pictures, please. Oh, we're going to do it this way now. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is it easier? All right. There we go.
Okay, we were actually making fun this day because I'm not going to name names, but there was mention that the off-worlders like our bread. So we thought we'd put it to the test, and behold, we did actually capture some object flying past. We tried to zoom it.
Funny.
Oh, yes, it was.
That's hilarious. Okay, perfect. Next. We're doing this thing again.
Oh, all you had to do was
We
press
just do
the
like a
arrow.
slideshow.
Just press the arrow. There you go.
This was one of the first UFOs that I'd caught because I was going through a stage where I love taking photos of cemetery art. I call it cemetery art. It's so peaceful. It's the things you capture. You would be surprised. Anyway, that was our first UFO that we had officially caught.
Wow, okay. Next. There we go.
Now, that's the backyard. We've put circles around the dots because these are, if you're not seeing them moving, and I mean, I carry my camera all the time, but by the time I go to put it on to actual video, most of these things have actually already crossed the sky. So I've put the circles around the dots that show up. When I say dots, they're actually craft that are going by. I've got a lot of videos where, like I said, I'm not 100% savvy on putting things up on the internet. I'm afraid of losing any form of definition. I want people to actually see the movements and things that goes on. So,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know what these crafts are, but we get a lot of them out here.
Go back now, Joe. Next one. Here we go. Okay, here we are. Okay.
Major copy.
All right.
Better? Okay. They should all have dots and all. I think it's probably better if you could blow the pictures up because I think you're losing some definition here. I can see one or two of the dots inside them, but
I don't know if he can.
And you can also see some where I haven't actually marked. Anyway, next one.
It's trying.
But it blurs everything.
More. No.
They write me messages in the sky in actual English lettering. I've got words like "Hey you."
Wow, that's interesting.
All sorts. There's some awesome stuff.
Wow. Okay. Next.
Sorry, I turned the sound down. I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, that's okay. Next. You go to the next one. Okay. Oh, all right.
Okay, so these are what I call orbs. All right, as you can see, it's not a windy night. It's a still night. There shouldn't be any particles falling down.
No
it's
pollen,
not raining.
nothing like that.
So, no, not at this stage. No.
Okay.
But I've had these come down in mass and form shapes. They've shown me how they come in. They come in like a cylinder, almost like what we call rods. They came in like that, and then they dissipated. So I've got the whole stream of them actually coming in as rods and then dissipating. So that's me, as you can see, somewhere in there.
Right. That's interesting.
Now these are like just taking photo. As you can see, there's one or two. Now with orbs, what I've found is when I take one photo, I can pick up one orb moving up to 7 times in one frame. So the way you look at that is you look at the rings, the pattern inside it, the pattern that it's forming, and what else is surrounding it. Some will have pieces like almost cut off. They show that they're different creatures, different entities, personalities, whatever you like to call them. So in this one here, you can, okay, all right.
Go back. Hold on. Okay, there we go.
So in that one there, you can see where it's splitting.
Yes.
That's what I call hatching. I have, like I said, the collection is enormous. these are opening up. When you zoom in on these, you can actually see there are a proper structure within it of another circle inside it. And I've got them where they're what I call seeding and hatching. They've got enough energy coming in, and they make a solid matter inside it, and then they open up and release that matter. I've watched them do this. I've got, you can see little solid faces coming out of these things.
Right.
So
maybe you should start with video and then screenshot after the video so that you have that movement to validate, because orbs are so controversial. I'm sure a lot of people, if they look at it, they try to pull it apart, right? It's hard.
I'm honestly, I'm not too worried anymore. I had a scientist come in from Auckland University. I wanted to show him what these orbs were. I wanted to say, look, tell me what you know, because I do quantum physics. I do the whole lot. I want to know what it is that I'm seeing. I'm not the only one who can see these things.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I started seeing orbs by having little flashes out of my peripheral, and I wasn't the only one. So I'm thinking, okay, and I started following it with my peripheral, and it got to the point where it got in front of my face. So if I could see it, then others must be able to as well. So that's when I started saying, okay, look, show up in my photos and so.
Hey, Joe, do you want to move back to where moving on down the line? There we go.
And that's me walking around on the deck. That's just another day.
Okay, keep going. Next. There we go.
Wow.
Again. Yeah.
I mean, I can go to somebody else's yard and not get this.
Right.
And, next door, they won't have this right next door. It's like, what's going on?
Right.
It's very heavy.
Yeah.
I love them. I honestly, I don't fully know what they are, but I've only gotten better since they've been around. And should they end up being baddies, well, I'll deal with that when I cross that bridge.
Right.
You know?
Next. Right.
They come in all different colors and shapes. And if these, and one of the arguments I have with dust particles and pollen particles and stuff, if your house is all locked up and you can see this sort of thing coming down on the outside, how do you explain them this mass coming down on the inside of your house as well? And I've got photos like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Where are you at, Joe? I'm just trying to follow along. That's my dog. Oh, isn't she beautiful? That's my baby.
That's funny. You're so funny, Joe.
Okay, I was like, can we get back to the matter at hand? Cute little puppy. Don't mind seeing her, but okay. So where are we? Go back there. No, back. Go back. 3. Hold on. Go back. I can't even see. Where all the dust particles, like the particles. Yeah. Go back. No, go back. No,
wow.
Go forward.
No, we go forward. Go to your right.
You want the watcher.
No, go back. Oh my gosh. Go back.
Go to the alien face.
Go back. Go back to the you were almost right there. Go back to the real snowy one. How about that? Because that's all I can see. Go back. No, go back one more. No, go back forward. Oh my God. One there. That, you just went over it. Go back. Right there.
Back one more. Yeah.
What is this?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
that looks evil.
Okay. That's who I call the flasher. All right. Now, they'd been coming along for about 15 years, flashing me. I could see them hovering over top of the house. It's like we built up a communication level. I know that I have a different level of communication with them when I don't go out there and I'm flashing them. I could still hear them. I know when they're coming into my area. It's a feeling state I get. It's like I can be inside and all of a sudden feel like, okay, I'm getting called outside. I have to go outside. I'll go out and bam, I get flashes. And from the flashes, there's been different intensities of light from these flashes. And over the years, I've come to recognize the flashes as information. When they flash me, they are sending me different, like a tube of information, like a telephone ringing me, giving me information.
Like
it's a flash of light. I
Right.
might not, download, that's it. I might
Yeah.
not get it straight away. The information might, filter out.
Mm.
But later on, it starts to filter down, and it's almost like I can hear his voice telling me this information. Or I'll sit down and I start writing, and I don't even have a clue what I'm writing, but it sounds good when I'm finished writing it.
But you know what this reminds me of? Like when you say when you're having night terrors and you have like the scream guy in your face, this looks like that guy, but this also looks like a gray.
Yeah, I'm not 100% what it is. I've asked a few people what they think he is. I mean, I basically said after 15 years, I stood out the back and I said that this photo was taken at this property that I'm on now. I went outside. I says, okay, come on, show yourself, show yourself. I'm getting sick of this, da 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 da. And I pointed the camera to the sky and I took a photo, and it showed up. I saw the image on the screen when I clicked the camera, and this is what showed up. But I'll tell you, I'm only showing you one part of this picture. I collected, when I took a shot, it took 7 in a row. Went took 7 in a row. In those shots, there's 4 of these beings. Okay, there's 4 of these beings in these photos. So I don't know what they are, but what I've done is I've blown up the best face of all of them. So, because in this one I can see all the details, and the other ones I can just make out bits and pieces. So this is the best one.
If you're a paranormal person, it would almost look like demonic. If you're a ufology person, it would almost look like a gray of sorts.
It really does look like both.
Yeah. But I don't seem to have any bad feelings or stuff with this being. He's just been a watcher. At one stage, their ship was above our house, and another one came in, and I felt like I'm standing there with them, and this guy here is being told off for spending too much time communicating with me. Wow. And so that other ship went off. This guy here flashed me a couple of times and he was gone. I didn't see him for about 3 to 4 months. Then after that, I all of a sudden, everything happened so fast, and I was moving out of the city and coming down here. And I know that this watcher followed me. I felt them following me all the way down, because I had to drive the truck there and back twice, and they followed me the whole time, sleep deprived and everything. So that was fantastic. And when we got down here, it was like a changing of the guard. So everybody that had been on this being's ship and had watched me over the years had now been separated into different crafts. Mm-hmm. So every now and then I'll get somebody that goes past and flashes me, and I know that it's not the same feeling state as what I get when I'm interacting with this one, but I also get the same feeling state that I've known them on this one's ship. It's really bizarre. It's a hard thing to explain without sounding crazy.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. I get it. Okay, we're going back to this. Why are you just going again on the bottom? Okay, stop there. Right at the orb. Right there. Right. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So this is one that I was standing. Okay, where this wall is, just a little bit further back to outside of the screen, you can actually see the kitchen room, and then you can see the lounge. This is the lounge room. I was standing at the end of this wall here, looking in the kitchen, when I saw a flash of light come in. I stepped over and took a photo, because we were at a party. I was going to take some photos that night, and because I saw it come in, I knew that night I was going to encounter a few different beings, because I'd said to the others there, tonight we're going to watch the skies. I got a few messages come in. I want to show somebody here that there is beings out there. On this particular night with this one, there was a lot of different action, orbs and entities that came in. That particular night, we watched up to 13 what looked like orange plasma spheres in the distance, in a convoy going across the sky. And it was like, what are we watching here? It was not, Elon Musk hadn't come out. He hadn't done satellites and this sort of stuff, as far as we were aware of back at the time. We're going back 2010 or something like that.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Okay, next one. Perfect. There we go.
Now, if you have a look at this one is hatched. Okay, you've got the far side facing us. This one's hatched. If you have a look on your left-hand side, just up there, a little dot. When you blow that up, you can actually see a face in it. An entity has come out of this orb.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Next one right after.
This
I
one
like that
here.
car. Very
Eh?
cool. I like that car.
My cousin has a black one.
So if you have a look in the passenger side of this car, there is a pink orb sitting in the seat. Now, I have zoomed in and I've done so many things to have a look for any reflective imaging and everything, but I cannot see it. It does not come out the door. It is not outside of the vehicle at all. It is in the seat. So,
Okay.
It's
Next,
a tough one to
please.
see on the screen.
Next, please. There we go. Thank you. Oh,
this is my friendly. This is the orb that sort of lives with me.
okay.
And
That's interesting.
And because I was going through, they're very curious. They want to know what's going on. They like to be around the energy. They absorb the energy that we put out. There's energy in the air everywhere. We just got to know how to tap into it. It's not like they're stealing energy from any of us. We actually produce so much energy that we're living in energy. So
Right. Okay. Next, please. There we are. Yes. Click it. Thank you.
okay, now see the little dot at the inside of
It's like
this?
a little nucleus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is getting ready to hatch. This is
Okay.
a seedling getting ready to hatch out of it. This is what I talk about.
Right there. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, now if you look, if you have because everything's small at my end, I don't know what you can see at
Oh,
that
it
end.
is here too. It's just our screen on StreamYard, Stone. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. If
If
they're
you have a
watching
look,
on TV on their own televisions, they'll have no trouble seeing it.
okay.
Yeah.
If you have a look, you'll see that there's a few of them coming in. There's actually about 5 in the whole picture, but I had to cut part of the picture out because it was inappropriate.
Right. All right.
We'll leave it
Thank
there.
you. Thank you. No.
If you have a look at the orb closest to me, you'll see there is an exclamation mark in it. This is my friendly who lives with me, and we were learning the stages of communication. So I was getting letters and numbers and all sorts, different patterns, and this was just another one of those. Okay, see, now I'm picking up your language, and this was the best way for them to ask me, what the heck are you up to? Exclamation mark,
All right. Next one. Thank you.
Now, this is like hatching.
Right.
I have blown this up so many times, and I've zoomed right on in. You can see that there is another sphere inside this, and you can see that there's a being in the corner of it that's just come out. And in most of these ones that have hatched, you can find a face of some sort.
Okay. Next one, please.
That's my friendly again.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
I like
and that's
the ring structure.
a
Is very
human
cool.
leg.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. Next. Right there. Okay.
Now that's the tube that they showed me that they come in
Right.
before they dissipate.
That's actually an interesting photo. Yeah. That is actually very interesting. I like that ring structure.
I thought it was fantastic. When I saw it, the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, geez. And then it was like a flash, just boom. And at that particular time, I took a photo, and this is what came out. And it was so fantastic to see as a tube of light energy, how they all came together. And I've always questioned each one of these rings that we see inside it, are they separate? Or is it just one that's moving, creating this tube-like for other things to come through it?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, later on, this is pretty much how I felt when I was having my last night terror accessing dimension. I was inside a tube communicating with a tall grey. And on that one,
That's not
that
the
is
first story I've heard of a person being in a tube communicating with a gray, just so you know.
oh, okay. Well, that was the night terror
Yeah.
that I was describing
Wow.
to you,
Wow.
where people on the outside could hear me making these terrifying noises, and yet there was no fear factor internally. I was actually having a conversation, and the grey actually came to ask me if I had questions. Now, I didn't pick
Wow.
up on the fact that it was my turn to ask questions before they arrived. If that was the case, I would have been better prepared.
Right. Well, I get a chance to ask questions. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Next, please. Wow, that's really
That's
cool.
just somebody, a total stranger I went to visit,
Right.
a friend. I went to do a reading and stuff, and so they asked me to take a couple of photos to prove it. First couple of photos, I don't ever invite anything in. I just take a few photos, and then I will say, if you're there, show yourselves, da 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 da, and then I take a photo. So, you know, there's no magic involved. It's just asking clear intention. It's like making a wish. Know what it is that you're asking to see or experience, because you'll get what you're asking for,
No,
but
you
you may
will.
not be prepared for it.
100%. Next
Okay?
photo, please. Oh, I agree. Okay. So,
And that's in the yard, just flying around the garden.
all right. Next, please.
That's not the moon or anything. It's the big fellow who likes to come and play.
We're on that one now, I think. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. There we are.
And that's me showing others around me that they do interact, and that's my friendly that basically moved in.
Okay. All right.
So you can
Next.
see what I'm showing is I can be moving around, and there's only one entity there. There's not dust, there's not particles, there's not pollen, and there's
Right.
one entity, and it's the same entity all the time, always showing up, saying, "Hi, I'm here."
Right.
So, and that I said, okay, show yourself in a different color, and sure enough, they turn blue.
Wow, that's interesting.
I can go to a fancy dress and dress up in a different color, and they will mimic the color that whatever I take on. I've got photos of those. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
There's a
please.
lot more in this photo, but I shrunk it down because I had a bad facial position at that one.
Okay. Well, for time's sake, yeah, we'll move along.
Yeah.
There's another one.
That's me on campaign. I used to do living history reenactment, and that's a solid form one there. If you blow that one right up, you can actually see it's got a face inside it looking at me.
Okay, perfect. Next one. Get past the flashy helmet one. There we go. Okay.
Yep. So that's inside my house, and you can see one on the right-hand side of me. Yep, just where you had the cursor is hatching. There's one there that's hatching. So,
okay.
But you can see them in the room. There's no reason for them to be in the room. I'm not dancing around or anything. There's no dust particles, and
Okay, perfect. Next.
Okay, you see the blue one on the curtain? Yes, that's correct. So
right.
I have a blue one as not connected to the golden one, all right? And when I go to put the video out, you'll see it turn up. It is huge. I don't know much more than that. We haven't had too much interaction, but they do show up with the other one from time to time.
Okay, here's there we go. That's
It's shown up, and I've had wings behind me, and I'm like, okay, you can see in the yard there's orbs. Now I've got a whole series of orbs interacting with animals, and how these animals can actually see these entities themselves as well. You can also see reflections of these orbs in the animal's eyes. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of going around going, what's going on? Go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to read 2 comments in the chat room before we continue. Wreaking Havoc 215, love your name. Great images. Dave Petrella says, great pictures. I think the orbs may be a stable form of travel for light bodies, astral bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very possibly.
that was at the start when I first started taking graveyard photos. They were, this is my friendly again. He is popping up back there.
Mhm. No. There we go.
Okay, I was staying at a friend's place and I was showing her the orbs that were coming in. Now, this is one orb and it is moved 3 times. Like I said, I can catch them up to seven times moving in one frame. And I've gotten to the point where you can just tell by the different rings around the outside, the solidness of the image when they come through.
Next, please.
Now, this was a friend of ours who had a bad car crash, crashed into a parked truck, and so spending some time with us. And as you can see, the orb has come in and has checked him out and has moved away again.
It's like, yeah, you're all right. Okay, next one.
Yeah.
Right.
And once again, just above my head, you can, my friendly.
Okay.
I mean, with all of the photos that I've got, I'm happy for people to be skeptics and come in and say whatever and stuff, but you cannot deny the fact that I have in so many different cameras and so many different photos, the one particular orb.
It's no, you can't dispute that. Orbs are hard. I mean, I've been disappointed with photos that I've had orbs in, and I've also studied white light, and I know that white light will take on reflection from other light beams and create a color, and it could create color from what you're wearing or someone else is wearing or something is reflecting. So it is a really hard one. The best analogy is having it right in your hands and being able to take a jeweler's loupe and look in, That's the best way, but I'm grateful that you're sharing these with us. Thank you.
That's right. There's another area as well. I'm doing some experiments with some friends, and Wreaking Havoc is one of them. Thank you very much for showing up, mate.
No, it's nice.
Yeah, I love his name. You guys have great names.
I think it was sometime this week. I've lost track, trying to stick on board here. I said to him, okay, well, you write down a color of an orb that you would like to see, and I'll go and take some photos. Now, I haven't taken it off my camera just yet, but I think it was yesterday I was talking to him, and I said, oh, by the way, I had a green orb show up. And I didn't think too much of it. I didn't actually expect him to take a note and actually write down a color and stuff. But he sent me back an image. I should have sent it to you, but I didn't actually think I was going to pronounce this. But he wrote down green. He wrote down green. He drew a picture of a green orb and he colored it in green, put my name and date and everything on it. So I'm yet to send that to him. But yes, so these things do communicate, and distance isn't a problem. It's like one of the experiences that I've gotten from this is there are no walls. For some of these entities, our matter doesn't matter. It only matters to us because we are in this density, and it has the ability to travel through different densities and different time. It's not the same for them as it is for us.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. Next, please. I see a bug. What am I looking at? Or a little frog.
Okay, this was one of the entities that I caught coming out of one of the orbs.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, first thing I'm looking is it's like a little Kermit the Frog, or it's something else that's totally different. Like
with a peep show.
It's a peep show. It's very
a little
curious.
bit of a peep show too.
It's very curious. Absolutely.
I'd like to blow that one up.
But it's cute.
Yeah.
I've got a collection of different sort of shapes and stuff, and it's hard because some of them look like moths, some of them look like bugs, some have got like triangles around them and stuff. I've got one I call handlebars.
Dave says he looks like he's fencing. Actually, you know what, Dave, you're so right. It's a definite stance, is it not? Right, as they're starting. That's hilarious. We just need to give them the little sword at the end.
We're going to actually have to stop here, though, because we are almost at the top of the hour for us. So this is pretty.
That's beautiful.
I get a lot of cloud language. I get ships of all sorts. I get cloud ships come in. They're showing up. So on one of these is a total different entity to the other one. And what I ended up seeing was they're sort of like holding hands, sort of like this, like sharing information.
Right.
So,
Yeah, they look like grays.
I see like a gray. Yeah, as Joey
Yeah.
was saying, it looks like
Yeah.
looks like Eddie from Iron Maiden. I'm just saying. I'm just
Oh.
going with that.
Wow.
Very cool.
Is that your Halloween costume this year?
Yeah. So, okay. So the boss says we could keep going, so we're gonna keep going.
Okay. The black grave that you see there,
Mhm.
right? That's not actually there.
What?
That's one of the anomalies that showed up in my camera.
Almost like a shadow, or was it solid?
No, it was solid. I went up to the office at the cemetery and asked them about this particular location, and there used to be a grave there, and the person that inhabited that grave had been hung there because he had been a murderer. He committed murder. So, but to this day, there's no actual grave there now. It's so old, it's gone.
It's very interesting, and it looks like there's a face in front of it. Right on the very corner of the left, that left tip corner, it looks like there's a little face right there. It looks like that corner is coming right up between the two eyes.
Okay. Yep.
Blow it up. Yeah, that's at least on my big screen. That's what it looks like. But all right, next. Okay, so that's another rod, light anomaly.
Yes, another light rod. Yes.
No, very cool. Now, I like rods. They're very unusual. You don't catch them often. So
when I see rods now, it's almost like, okay, that's another collection, another swarm of the orbs coming in. So I keep an eye on them because, I mean, this is an orange one, and I haven't seen the orange ones split, but I've seen the white ones like this split. But I also have standing white ones like this standing next to people who have actually lost members of their family. So, I can't tell you 100% what it is that I'm seeing or experiencing. I can just share the findings and the commonalities I have.
Right. No, very interesting. Very interesting. Another one.
Oh, there you go. This is what I was just saying.
Yeah, that's
it turned out that she had a twin sister who had passed on. So it was kind of freaky to get this particular picture with, I knew nothing about her at the time.
Wow.
That's common when you have a twin and you take photos. That's common that they show up in a whether there's a communication plus you being gifted comes forward, right?
Now, is that the last one, or is there one more? One more. Okay. Oh, okay.
This is another being. I found it very strange that when I took a photo, that's how they turned out. But I'm aware of how the light was outside, and how other people were. But there was something about this chap. Like when I actually had a conversation, he wasn't talking to me like a normal human being. There was something very not of this world conversation going on. And so when he asked me the couple of questions, I was very hesitant to tell him anything other than I am of this land. That's pretty much it. I am of this land. So it was really, I have people come to my door and knock on my door and say things like, like a little old man did one day. He says, I've come to see if you can see my wife. He had a clipboard and a pen, and he said my name, and only my first initials of my name were on the piece of paper, no last name. And he said, can you see my wife for me sometime? And the first thing I did was look around in my house. Now, why would I turn around and look inside my room when he's standing outside? And I said, well, bring her along sometime. She's not here today. Well, why would I say these weird things?
Right.
So, and I said, yes, I will when you bring her along. So, then I went into the house and I was telling my partner, I just had a strange experience. And he says, well, get out there and question him some more. And by the time we'd gone from one room to the gate, and there's no way it could have happened because it was a big courtyard. You had to dodge my roosters, and I had a big fence that made this really heckish noise when you opened it, okay? That didn't take place. Nobody was disturbed in the yard. When I ran out to the gate and I looked left and right, there was nothing going on down the streets. So whoever he was, wherever he came from, it was just one of those things. I mean, I have these people turn up out of nowhere. We were walking through the cemetery one day and we saw a mist over in the distance, and we decided, okay, let's get a closer look, because I did my walking, my exercise in the cemetery. And we got closer and we thought it was like maybe smoke coming out of the crematorium or something. But no, we got closer and we found it had nothing to do with that. And then it moved because it had been staying in one location. We thought, okay, mists don't stand still. As we got closer, it started to move and we started yelling at it saying, hey, we want to know who you are. Anyway, it dissipated. We carried on with our walk. We got to another area of the graveyard where we could see the whole segment that we would walk. All right, no trees in the way, nothing in the way. And this Asian chap, little Asian guy, walking along, walked past us. I gave him a nod. He gave me a nod. We eye contact, carried on going. Next minute, he's walking past us again with an umbrella, and there's no way. He must have had the umbrella lying on the street somewhere for him to pick it up, and when he went past next, and he looked at me, and my reaction was, yes, I will see you again.
What?
Yeah. So I have some weird encounters, close encounters of the freak kind, but I don't mind. I went into a supermarket and we decided to test our telepathy because after the first encounter with some of these greys, I developed an ability to be telepathic with some of these entities and my partner. And so we went into this mall and we decided to pick on somebody. We decided to pick one member of, the customers that were eating and send them a telepathic message and see if they, heard us. Now, at the time, my partner picked who he thought I was picking, and I picked somebody different who I thought he was picking. And as soon as I sent my message, this tall guy turned around and looked at me, and it was not a human. That was not a human. That was a tall grey. As soon as it looked at me, it was like, okay, well, you know that I know that you know.
Yeah. Right.
And by the end of that experience, we had discovered 4 tall greys, and each of the greys was accompanied by a short grey, which was a shorter person. I ended up being separated from my partner in the mall because we got split up by these beings. And we both decided if anything ever happened to us, we would meet back at it. We had a meeting point because we'd encountered this sort of stuff before, but not with Grace.
Wow.
So that was another encounter that we had. So
well, I'm thrilled that you have. Oh, I'm getting mega feedback. Sorry. I'm thrilled that you came and shared all your stories with us. I'm really glad that you decided to come and join us. It was so much fun. The pictures were amazing. Your stories are incredible. So, and this is the part where promote yourself. I mean, I know you have a website and you have a blog. If you could quickly tell us that, and maybe people can come and check you out.
Okay, well, as you know, I'm Stone Hobbit. I can be found on Facebook, but not under Stone Hobbit. I can be found on MeWe and most other platforms as Stone Hobbit. My webpage, and I'm still working on it, always a work in progress here, guys, is weebly.com, and it's stonehobbit@weebly.com. So, yes, I'm on Telegram, Twitch, all over the show. You can find me if you really need me. Otherwise, email me at stonehobbit@gmail.com. And I do my best to write and reply to everybody. So, yes. Thank you, ladies, for having me on.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm grateful it wasn't 2:30 a.m. for you, like our UK guests. I'm so grateful that you have an afternoon. We may have to fly them to New Zealand just so we can get them in the afternoon.
Oh, I don't know if you'll be flying to New Zealand anytime soon, people,
No.
because you have to be, you know.
Yeah, we have friends in New Zealand, absolutely. So
Yeah.
no, but thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us, and we will. Well, you will keep in touch. We shall.
Thank
So,
you.
all right,
Thank
darling.
you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, 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 yes.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Night,
Night,
night.
sweetie.
So we've come to the end of another fantastic segment here on the Outer Realm, and holy crap, that was really great. So just saying. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thanks to everyone in the chat room. You guys are just make it that much more fun. Huge thank you to Stone. Big thank you to Joe for doing all of our the photos. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee, who sponsor our show. Another huge thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, for providing us again with your music and your voice. So please remember to find us on, find United Public Radio, International Public Radio, for Paranormal Radio on YouTube, and subscribe. Follow us over to Facebook on the Outer Realm. Give us a like if you don't mind. It would be appreciated. And drop us a line at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. Theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. Join us tomorrow night as Dr. Rita comes back on. Rita Louise is just super delightful, and she's always got lots of information. She's a lot of fun. So we have her for our last show before Halloween. So you know it's going to be a good one. So until then, you all behave, and we shall see you again tomorrow night. Good night. Until then, you all behave, and we shall see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, because I'm trying to turn it off.
What is that exactly?
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.